Welcome, rum theologians. This is Around the Word in Many Glasses. Today we'll be drinking Dourly's 12-year-old Barbados rum, and we'll be talking about Exodus chapters 1 through 10. So sit back, relax, pour yourself a drink, and let's get into it. So today is, I believe, the first rum that I've had on the show, and it is Dourly's 12-year-old Barbados rum. I think I'm saying Dourly's correctly. It's how it's written, but I really don't know. I don't think I've actually ever heard anyone pronounce the name of this rum. I don't spend a lot of time looking at through rum content like I do whiskey. Now I'm holding the bottle like this because for some reason, this is one of the most aesthetically pleasing bottles to me. I don't know why I like it so much. First of all, I love the macaw. Right? This is apparently a little blue macaw, potentially extinct in the wild. I don't know. The box that this came in had a whole little blurb about it. The macaw is the mascot of Dourly's. That's what I understand, at least. But there's something about this little ribbon with the wax seal and the color of it. I love that color blue. I don't think I've ever seen it before. Right? This might be a new color to me. I really like this bottle. I don't usually love bottles this much, but there's something about this bottle that I find very aesthetically pleasing. Interestingly enough, aesthetics is something I've considered talking about on this channel. It was one of the original ideas I had. So if you're interested in the theology of aesthetics, that's aesthetics, not ascetics, right? They're two different things. But if you're interested in that, I can let me know and I'll give it a whirl one of these days. Let's open it and pour it. As I said, I don't drink as much rum. I've been trying to get into rum for a couple reasons. One, for just variety from whiskey. Two, rum's cheaper than whiskey. This is a 12-year-old bottle. I barely spent over, it's like $25 around here, something right around there. Can't really get many 12-year-old whiskeys for that much. And I had seen a lot of really good reviews for this, and so I decided to give it a shot. It's rum from Barbados. I know that means it's from Barbados, but I know nothing else about that. I don't know what that means. Like, so if you tell me that something is an Islay Scotch, I have some ideas, right? I know enough about whiskey to know certain things I'm looking for. You know, if you say something's an Irish whiskey, I have a frame of reference. I don't have that for rum. I've had a Jamaican rum. I've had whatever plantation is from. I don't even know. I've had some Crucian rums. I really liked Crucian Blackstrap, which is just a whole different style rum than this. And this is a Barbados rum. I don't know anything about any of them, though. So, rum's a bit of a fun journey. So, cheers. Let's give it a taste. So, as is to be expected, it's a completely different experience than whiskey. Now, I'm sure if you're just giving this to someone who doesn't drink hard alcohol neat, it's all going to be the same, right? It's going to be that burn of alcohol. But it's a whole different experience. Whiskeys have a lot of, at least the ones I've been doing, have a lot of caramel, kind of deep notes. I describe them as kind of low. They taste deep and low, like musically low to me. Whatever that means to you. Whereas rum's not like that. Rum doesn't have, at least I've never had a rum with that caramel note, the woodiness to it. There's a little bit of that in here, but it smells sweeter. I mean, it's made out of molasses, right? So presumably that's why it's sweeter. And you definitely get that sweetness, and it's spicier. At least this one. And most of the rums that I've tried have more spice sort of flavors to them. Not like hot spicy, and definitely not like Indian or Chinese kind of spicy, at least Chinese food or Indian food spicy. I guess you call it an island spice, for lack of a better term, because, well, they come from islands, right? But yeah, kind of that like Jamaican flavors, that kind of spice. If you have any idea what I'm talking about, and I will say this: first of all, the taste. I've just been talking general experiences with rum. Yeah, it just starts off sweet. There's something else there. I don't. It's almost a fruity sweetness, but not like the dark fruits that whiskey gives you. More tropical fruit kind of flavors, and then I get like a vanilla sweetness with a little bit of a strange bitter aftertaste, which I wasn't expecting. Overall, I really enjoy it. Although I will say this rum has done something that I've never experienced with anything else I've drunk. It has a weird texture to it. I don't mean weird bad. It just has a texture I've not felt. Right, whiskey has the texture of water. Right, at least to me, it does. But this has it's almost like it's a buttery drink. It's it feels thicker than water. I don't know what's going on there. It's not bad. It's just really different. It's something that I have not experienced with other rums. I don't know if that's something that's common in rums, and I've just hit the ones that don't have it. I don't know if that's something that's really unique to this particular rum, but it's interesting. So, if you've never tried rum, I don't know if I would necessarily start with this. I don't think I know enough to tell you where I would start. Although one of the first ones that I had that I really, really enjoyed, other than the Prussian Blackstrap rum, which I think you kind of have to like that kind of stuff, kind of darker notes, was a plantation double aged or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to get it again because I liked it. Now that I've had a few more, I'd like to try some more. Anyway, if you have any favorite rums on your list, let me know. If you know anything more about rum, hey, let's get the conversation going. I love talking about this kind of stuff. Obviously, that's why I started this channel. So we're about 7 minutes in. Let's get on to the theology. But before that, I do want to make a note. This video will be on the Around the Word in a Year, which I typically do on Saturdays. And it is currently Monday when I'm filming this. It'll most likely be Tuesday when this video is coming out. And for the few people who are watching, mostly my mother, hi mom, I just want to make a note that the reason this video is late is because I had a bit of a crazy week last week. If you know why it was a crazy week, you know why it was a crazy week. Don't need to get into that. And in addition to that, I had a lot of projects around the house that I put a lot of time into. And ever since I started this channel, I have decided with myself that the first thing I drop, the first thing that I let slide is going to be these videos, right? Until I start making money off YouTube, which I don't ever expect to do. But until that potential day, this is the first thing that slides. Other things will take priority. Just about everything else will take priority with this channel. And so that's why I didn't have a video on Saturday. That's why I didn't also have a video today. Typically on Mondays, I have a Monday meditation. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to make that video up. If you're interested about my thoughts on the readings we did, go search the Rivercliff Facebook, Rivercliff Lutheran Church in Sandy Springs, Georgia, and look for the Sunday service on February 21st, 2021, and watch my sermon, because those are my thoughts. We talked about the Sabbath. It was a good time. I've been thinking about talking about the Sabbath on this channel because it's been one of those things that I've been rattling around in my head, but I got the opportunity to preach on it, which was a fun experience. I both love and hated how that sermon turned out. It's one of those weird things for me. So if you happen to see the sermon, let me know what you thought of it. I also was doing a thing with a series that we're doing. So it was a bit of a different style sermon than what I typically do. But anyway, that's that. I do, however, while I'm skipping the Monday meditation, I do want to, if at all possible, keep my commitment, my intentions to put out a video for the Around the Word series. For those of you who I know who are For those of you who are watching it for that, following along in the series, I know I have a number of members who are. I have no idea if anyone watch these. And kind of as a commitment to myself, I want to make these videos. And so here I am. I am making this one up. And hopefully this week will go nice and smoothly, and I'll be back on my normal schedule going forward from here. All that being said, let's talk about Exodus 1 through 10. And I want to do something I haven't done up to this point. What I've been doing with all these videos so far, especially for these Around the Word series, is I have been giving you my thoughts on the particular text. I'm not actually going to do that this time. This time I'm going to go over something, maybe a little bit of my process, if you will. How do I get things out of the text? And the way I do that, you'll recognize this in the way I teach as well, as if you've ever been in any of my classes. I ask questions. I have questions for the text. I don't know all the answers. And every time I read a text, new questions come up. So if I have answered all my old questions, there are new ones that come up. And I had a lot of questions when I was going through this reading Exodus 1 through 10. There's a lot in there that I think I had just kind of brushed aside and kind of ignored because I know the general story, right? I know the overview, I know the big things that are going on, but there's a lot of weird stuff in Exodus 1 through 10. I don't know if you picked up on that. Maybe I'm crazy, but I thought there was a lot of really strange, there were a lot of odd things in this text. And so instead of giving you my thoughts on the text, I'm going to, by my rough memory, give you the questions that I had that I don't have answers to. I have answers to if we go home. But this is what I do. I find a question that I have about a text, and then I ask that question. And I typically go to commentaries. I have lots of ways to get answers to the questions. Thought about bringing a commentary on, but didn't carve time out of my workday to look up the answer to one of my questions in the commentary, so I just left it in my office. But yeah, so let's go over a little bit of my process. So questions I had on Exodus 1 through 10, questions I don't necessarily have an answer to. And the first one is about the transition, that time in between the end of Genesis and the beginning of Exodus. We know something changes. The beginning of Exodus describes it as a Pharaoh arose who didn't know Joseph. What does that mean? There are a few theories. The one that I've heard and I've been convinced of is that there was a revolution, a revolt, an outside invader essentially coming in and overthrowing the old dynasty, the dynasty that Joseph was involved with. I think that fits well. There's historical evidence for that as well. That's not just coming up out of the blue. There are, according to when we're dating the Exodus, which is a mess I'm not getting into, there are some turnovers in dynasties around the time, well, shortly before the time of the Exodus. So, possible. Next question that really came to mind, although I think the story of the Midwives is just great. We overlooked that a lot. The heroes of the faith of those, the Hebrew midwives, who, that was just great. Didn't you love that, right? Oh, we couldn't kill the Hebrew babies because their women are just too strong. They give birth before we show up. And the Egyptians believed them. It's great, right? Now, the Egyptians found a different way to commit infanticide. But anyway, I always think that's a oft overlooked but really neat little section there. Next question I had is, what did Moses' life look like? Even from before he was born, I was wondering to myself as I was going through, did Pharaoh's family, specifically Pharaoh's daughter that pulls Moses out of the river, did she know Moses' family? As in, were they servants of her? Because she's not surprised when Miriam pops up out of the river and starts talking to her. Could just be that, whatever, you just pulled a baby out of the water, what other crazy things are happening. But it could also be that the princess knew Miriam because the family of Moses worked for her. And so when she saw Miriam coming out and saying, "Oh, should I go get a nurse?" It might not have been strange. Who knows? This could have been the princess's wet nurse that she was using. It could have been Moses' mother. I don't know. I don't think there's any way to know that one, but it's possible. Right? It seems strange that a child just pops up out of the river. And it's like, "Oh yeah, that baby you just found. I can go find you a nurse if you'd like." Could have happened, but I wonder if Moses' family was part of Pharaoh's household as servants, most likely servants. It would seem to kind of fit. Also, what did Moses' life look like when he was growing up and for roughly the first 40 years when he was in Egypt? That's coming to my memories. I mean, Moses was 40 when he fled Egypt. Because he clearly is spending time with the Hebrew people, right? Obviously, he's raised by his mother to some extent, at the very least, probably to a great extent. But the people seem to know that he's a Hebrew. Maybe they don't, but at least the account of the murder, followed by the two Hebrews that are quarreling that Moses tries to break up, they seem to know that he's a Hebrew. They may have, they may not have, but I wonder what his family life looked like, or not his family life, his life growing up. I wonder what that actually looked like. Was it something out of Prince of Egypt, or was it something a little bit more blended and mixed? I don't know. Then there's the flight to Midian. Right, Moses flees. Who did he tell? And I ask this question actually because it's something that happens when Moses is at Mount Sinai with the burning bush. God tells Moses that Aaron is on his way out to go meet with him. And then later, there is a line where God then speaks to Moses, or not to Moses, to Aaron and says, "Go meet Moses." I wonder if, right, Moses is married. Did he invite his family to the wedding? Did he tell his family, his biological family, that is, where he was going when he fled Egypt? Have they been visiting him all this time? Because Moses doesn't seem surprised. What? Aaron's coming out here? Oh my goodness. It just kind of rolls off. Now, granted, a lot of really crazy things are happening when Moses is, standing before the burning bush. So maybe he has other things to worry about than, "Oh, my brother's coming? He doesn't know where I am." Who knows? But yeah, what was the connection between Moses in his exile and the people of Egypt? I'm not sure. Then there's the whole issue of the name, right? Yahweh, that name that's given, that God gives to Moses. What's going on there? And I ask this because I'm curious, how steeped in Egyptian culture are the Hebrews, and how, if they are incredibly steeped in Egyptian culture, how much is God accounting for that when he interacts with Moses and with the Israelites in general? Because, without getting into it, because this will go off on a big tangent, there's a big thing in Egyptian culture about knowing the name of someone, right? Everyone, gods and humans alike, all had two names. They had the name that they told each other, and then they had their secret name. And if you knew someone's secret name, you had this mystical power over them. And so it has been proposed that Moses, in asking God for his name, is asking for that secret name, asking for power over God, right? An exchange of power, essentially. You tell me your secret name, that way when I go back, I can have some assurance because I'll have control over you because I know your name. And then God responds essentially, "No, I'm not going to tell you that, right? I will be who I will be," which, by the way, the bane of at least my early Hebrew career was running into the divine name for the first time. So I just wrote down, I am who I am, right? How it's been taught to us. But in Hebrew, especially with the naming or the giving of the name, the way the tenses work out, there's grammar stuff going on. It's "I will be who I will be." Even "I am who I am" works. And again, Hebrew tenses are just different than English tenses, so don't get hung up on that. But God just says, "No, you don't get to know my secret name. I am who I am." Right? And you just say, "I am sent you." You don't get to know that, Moses. I'm in charge, not you. Who knows? I do also think, interestingly enough, and I could be wrong about this, this is kind of a question. When Moses says, I'm slow of speech, I think this is literally a speech impediment. And I think this because of Deuteronomy 5 or 6. I don't know, it's another one of these things that I translated in Hebrew, and I intended on getting the citation and the Hebrew translation. But as a Hebrew student, one of the first things we translated was one of these speeches by Moses to the people out of Deuteronomy. I know it was in Deuteronomy. And it's so hard to translate because Moses, in beginning his speech, just has word salad. He just throws out a whole bunch of words that don't grammatically fit with each other. It says something along the lines of, you, me, here, standing in your ears, speaking now. And yes, grammar structures are different from Hebrew to English, but that's not Hebrew grammar structure. It's just not. It's this weird jumble of words. I have never seen anyone else say this, and I'm not a Hebrew scholar, so who knows? But I think that's Moses' speech impediment. He's saying, God, I can't help you. I have a speech impediment, right? I have a stutter. And God says, fine, I'll let Aaron take care of this for you, right? And then Aaron gets to be the prophet, right? Which, interestingly enough, again, I'm off on the statements rather than the questions here. Notice that Aaron, as a prophet to Moses, is just speaking on his behalf. He's not predicting the future. Old Testament prophecy is not about predicting the future. It happens, but Old Testament prophecy is speaking for God. And when you understand that, the prophets make way more sense. We don't need to get into that here. That's a topic for another for another time. The next question I have, which is the big one, which is why I'm doing this video the way I'm doing it. What in the world is going on with that scene when Moses is on his way back to Egypt? God shows up and is getting ready to kill him. And then his wife circumcises his son and then touches the foreskin to Moses' feet, and all of a sudden God's fine. I have always been confused by this section. I remember asking my pastor when I was younger, and I read this for the first time, what in the world is going on here? And I know he gave me an answer. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember not being satisfied with it. I've not done my own research on this. I've not read through the commentaries. This was when I was going to pull the commentary out. I read, I think, a few words that St. Augustine wrote about this, and it was, God is being consistent. That's as far as I got when I think my phone rang. For some reason I stopped halfway through a sentence and it just never picked it back up. But Augustine thinks God's still being consistent, which does seem like he's being inconsistent here. But I didn't read the whole thing. So maybe I'll read it tomorrow when I get into the office. But I've never been satisfied with any answers that I've heard on this section of scripture. I don't know what's going on here. I just flat out do not get it. So if you're one of my members, you're not allowed to ask me about that that section because I don't know. I simply have no clue what's going on there. I think it's Christological. I think there's a measure of grace and forgiveness, and the covenant is happening here, but I don't know how it all fits together, right? I think I see all the puzzle pieces, but I don't know how they go together. And that's why I'm doing this video, because there are lots of puzzle pieces I don't get in Exodus 1 through 10. Instead of researching all of them before this video, I decided just to show you all the puzzle pieces I don't get. Because this is how I do things. This is how you learn more, right? You see things that confuse you, so you ask questions about it, and then you go look up the answers, or you try and find the answers as best you can. Sometimes you get the answers real fast. You get the answers quickly. All right, and you move on. Other times, like me with this chapter, or section, I don't know how long it is, you just sit on this question for years and years and years. Hopefully one day it will make sense. This is one of the few sections of scripture that I just flat out don't understand and haven't understood for a really, really long time. I'm sure there are other things I don't understand in the Bible, like to this level. I'm unaware of them, which is I guess nice, right? Ignorance is bliss. Who knows? Anyway, Moses on his way back, don't get it. I remember having a question about the labor that the Israelites were doing, but I don't remember what it was because I had this question a few days ago. But there was something there. I'm not even remembering my questions. This is a little. It's been a crazy week. Let's just leave it at that. Oh, interesting that they're making bricks. What were they making bricks for? Because it doesn't seem like they're making it for any of the monuments that we are aware of. First of all, I'm like 99% sure that the pyramids have already been built. So they're not building the pyramids, right? Which is what everyone seems to think. If I remember my Egyptian history correctly, which is a bit sketchy. Although I have listened to some. Egyptian history is really interesting. It's a whole other category that I've only spent a little bit of time on. But I'm fairly certain that the pyramids have already been built by the time Moses is living. So that's not it, right? The Hebrews are not building the pyramids. They're doing something else. Who knows what it is? What was the connection between Goshen, where the Israelites are living, and the rest of Egypt? I don't know the geography well, so I just don't know. I don't know how they were interacting with one another. There are certainly questions we could get into with the plagues, but I feel like this video is already going on for a while. So the last question I'll kind of leave this with. What's up with the genealogy? Right? Did you notice this when you read through it? I don't remember. I listened to it. I listen to the Bible at this point. I hardly do any reading anymore. I do a lot of audiobooks, mostly because I read for work. And I have spare time that I can listen to things, such as when I'm driving. So I don't know where this is exactly. I don't quite remember. But this genealogy just pops up in the middle of nowhere. Starts with, like, the clans of Reuben. Gets to the clans of Levi, which makes sense. That's where Moses has come from. And then it just stops. What in the world is going on with that? I can almost understand if, they said, Reuben, clans of Reuben, clans of Levi, clans of Judah, and clans of Joseph, right? Firstborn, one Jesus comes from, right? And God knew that already. So, and Judah's already a spokesman for the brothers, even in Genesis, right? He is playing a prominent role in the story of Joseph. The clan, the tribe that Moses and Aaron come from, the priestly tribe of Levi, and then, Joseph, because he's the reason they're in Egypt. Then I could understand, okay, he just didn't want to go over the whole thing. But it almost feels as if Moses started this list randomly for some reason and then just didn't finish it. He just said, no, that's enough. I put me in there, and now we'll just move on. Weirdest thing, another weird thing. I have less questions about it because, quite frankly, I'm less concerned about it than I am with the whole circumcision thing just before that. But what is going on with that? I'm going to say that genealogies are important, and they are. I don't know why this one's there. Doesn't make sense. It seems out of the blue and incomplete. But we'll end it. We'll end this video here with that. And so, all of you who wait on the Lord, maybe wait on the Lord so that you get answers to some of these questions. Let's raise a glass and drink to Christ's imminent